Ginger? Ginger, are you okay? Look at me. Look at me. Charlotte, are you hurt? Are you hurt? Are you okay? Hey, we gotta get out of this thing. Hey, no. Don't move. Climb up through the window right there. You can do it. You'll be okay. You okay? We have to leave right now. Run.
Hello? Can anyone hear me? Hello? We were in an accident.
Daddy, are we gonna die?
No, it's my job to protect you.
And we were attacked. I think my husband was infected. Mike.
Daddy?
What's wrong with
Daddy?
He got sick.
What is happening to me?
Can you understand me? You're scaring me. Back off!
Please, Daddy, it's me. Hurry, Mommy is coming.
Come on.
Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for Wolfman from Universal in theaters right now. By the time you're seeing this, my name is Kuya P. This is Nerds Rule the World, and I'm losing my mind because I was up probably late at night turning into a werewolf, and that is why I cannot talk straight. So just warning, something might happen. Man. Anyway, I'm getting crazy right now. It's 2025. The world's on fire. Everything's crazy. So let me introduce my pals. I love these guys. We've been fellow critic friends here in the Washington, D.C. area for quite some time, enjoying some films. You know him returning from the movie review, Screen Comment, Film Threat. My man, Anthony Francis. How are you?
I'm great. Glad to be back as always.
You kind of got the wolf hair style too a little
It's
bit. It looks like it's up and just you got some werewolf in you.
What? Rest in peace, David Lynch. He never did his hair.
Rest in peace, David Lynch. Joining us for the first time. You know what? Let me shoot out some air horns. You don't hear it right now, Derek, because it's in post, and I know you got kids, and so I don't want to deafen you, so it's in post. The amazing Derek Dunn from Reviews and Dunn. How are you, sir? Thank you for joining us today.
I am blessed. Thank you for having me.
Definitely, man. Thank you, sir. So, Wolfman, let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about the story, a little bit about the cast, crew behind it, and then we'll just give them thoughts about the new Wolfman, Protect Your Own, as I saw behind me right there on these posters for this film. So, Wolfman, you saw the trailer just a second ago. We have director Leigh Whannell, who also did the Invisible Man remake not too long ago for Universal, behind this, also joined by Corbett Tuck on those writing duties. The stars in this are Julia Garner, Christopher Abbott, Leigh Whannell plays Dan. Is the writer director also in this film? I didn't notice that until literally just now, so I'm like, whoa. Shout out to Leigh Whannell, also not only writing, directing this film, but appearing in the film. If you got it like that, why not? put yourself in the film. We also have Sam Jaeger in this film as Grady, Matlida Firth as Ginger, Benedict Hardy as Derek, along with a cast of others. And also respect to the crew, because as a filmmaker myself, I know Anthony is one as well. It takes a village to put these films together. So shout out to everyone. While we may highlight a few, respect and love to the many on this village that put this together. So that's your cast, your crew. This story, as you saw from the trailer, again, this is a slight remake of the OG Wolfman, but it's essentially, watching someone turn over a course of a night. This time around, it's a family. The father in this family, as they go out to the Pacific Northwest to check out the home left over from the father's father in this, the father's father passing away, to just kind of, follow up after his passing, and also introduce his family to this beautiful Pacific Northwest that they've never experienced before. And he really wanted them to see that. But things go astray. Accident occurs. Somebody gets, I don't know. To me, and we'll talk about this, and I don't want to give away too much and spoil for people. Maybe a bite occurs, or maybe a scratch happens. I don't know if I totally saw that, and if that was in the trailer. Maybe I need to rewatch that again. But when I saw this, I was like, wasn't quite sure what happened, but I'm sure Anthony and Derek will help me out with that. But again, he gets turned, if you will, and we follow as his father transitions into this Wolfman with some great moments, some great visuals. And I know we're going to follow that in the review, but just bravo to the cast and crew. Well, bravo to the cast, but to the crew, director Leigh Whannell, how they did this camera work and how they did a lot of the physical effects in this were just outstanding. But that is your brief synopsis. That is your cast, your crew. Let's have some fun, because I don't want to chat anymore, and I want these beautiful guys that you see on the screen, Derek and Anthony, to chat it up with me. So let's go initial thoughts. When you found out this was happening, what did you think about them doing Wolfman and with Blumhouse? Let me toss it to you, Derek, since you're your first time around here at the NRW.
So, I mean, when you look at Leigh's background in horror and you look at what he did with The Invisible Man, I had high hopes. He's a very unique director, and he showed what he could do with The Invisible Man as opposed to what he did with Saw and other things. So I had high expectations, not sky high, but high enough to where, I thought he was going to do a better job than with than what Joe Dante did with The Wolfman in 2010 with Del Toro and Hopkins.
Oh, okay. So high expectations for you. Anthony, how about you? What did you think when you heard that they're going to do a new Wolfman?
I get all choked up being on this show. I was not a fan of the Joe Johnston remake. I had high hopes for that. Derek just got mad at me, I think. I loved that they brought Rick Baker back, for the effects, and Benicio del Toro barely needs any makeup effects to make him look like a werewolf when he gets his hair all mussed. But so I was like, well, okay, do it again. And then as I read about it, it's more of a reimagining. Like, there's really nothing from the Universal movie except that a man turns into a wolf. And the whole reason is different. We'll get into that. But as a horror fan, I'm ready. As a werewolf movie fan, I was ready, but cautiously so. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to echo Anthony on those points as well. I was okay with the Invisible Man remake. I loved it. I think Derek as well is kind of like, well, because I think you said you really were a fan of that one. So I was hesitant with this one. When we had the list of films that the three of us were screening for this week, this was the one I came in with the most low to no expectations. I was like, I don't know, early year horror film, generally, as we know as critics, they don't always turn out to be that great, kicking off the year. So low to no expectations, but now we're going to turn this into our we're going to go at it now. Boy, was I pleasantly surprised.
with this film. So before we get to the positives, I'd like to kick it off with negatives first. And I know after we got done watching the screening, y'all that are watching this, Anthony, Derek, and we got to talking, and that's why the three of us are together right now. And now I brought everybody up on the screen. And I was like, okay, so we got to mash off. I got to know these points, and we got to go point counterpoint. But let's kick it off. So Derek, you were the one that had a little bit of, your energy wasn't all the way there, and mine was on a high. I think Anthony was like right in the middle, to balance this out. So let's have some fun, man. Let's talk about Wolfman. What kicked it off or didn't kick it off for you?
All right. So as I said in my review, and talking to Anthony, talking to other critics when we were leaving, it's very clear that the studio took this movie away. The studio took away this movie from the director, because there's so many ideas that were there that never go anywhere. And even though it was only 95 minutes, it felt like we were in there for like 2 hours. So I get what he was trying to do. The whole generational trauma, the beast inside a man. Even if you're a beta male, you can still be an alpha. So I think that's what he was trying to go towards. And maybe Universal saw the dailies and they saw the first, because they was like, yeah, no, we got to do something else to, get this pace along. So I think Universal wanted something more traditional horror-wise, and he wanted something maybe more elevated with flourishes of, a werewolf film. Because as I was saying to Anthony, I was reminded of Wolf from '94 with Jack Nicholson. That was like the same thing, where it wasn't necessarily a traditional werewolf movie, but it was still more of a wolf movie, and how he's reacting to his body changing. Slight spoiler, like one of the dopest scenes in that movie was the spider, when it's like he's going up the steps and you see the spider crawling, you see his reaction changing. So yeah, I mean, the potential was there, but something was just clearly lost in the final cut. And one more thing, another small spoiler. Anthony knows what I'm talking about.
Real quick, we'll just say spoilers. I'll put that in the thing now, just so we can talk more freely. And as of the time of this review is going to drop, you guys have already put out your reviews. I'll just say put spoilers in there, so that way we can talk a little bit more freely. Go ahead, Derek.
All right, so spoilers. So in the beginning, when our protagonist is a child with his father, there's something about mushrooms, and I thought that was going to be a big plot point, but they totally abandoned that. It was like it never came back up. The same with the wife character, and maybe I have a twist in mind, but when he approached her and he kind of like was sniffing her, I thought he was going to go into the, who's messing, are you having an affair? Like, am I smelling another man on you? So it was a lot of stuff there that they could have explored that I think he wanted to explore, and it just never like happened. So I really think that there was a good movie in there and something was lost in the editing. And we got the final studio version and not Leigh's preferred cut.
Interesting. I don't know if I agree with you there, Derek, but let me toss it over to Anthony, and then I'll also throw in my comments. Let's go.
I hope that Derek is right, because I really, really love this movie. I mean, imperfections and all, but if there's more, oh my God, I'm there for it, man.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Derek mentioned that to me after the screening, about is there an affair going on? Because the way that he shoots when I don't remember the character's name, but when the husband goes and surprises Julia Garner, the wife, at work, he makes a point to show her come out. She's with 4 people, but she's with another guy next to her. And she looks, oh, you're here waiting on me, And she even says, what are you doing here? And as she's walking over, the other guy is out of focus a little, but he's watching over that way, where the other 2 people just say, hey, see ya, and keep going. So I think Derek's right. I think there may have been something cut there, but I'm all for. I'm all for
a
more.
whole nother cut. A whole nother cut. Yeah.
But I will say, for the running time, it's such a contained story that it works. I did want a little more. We're talking the negative, so I did want a little more. Like it almost seemed like right when it got going, it we're done now. I'm like, wait, we just got here. I'm ready for, but there's only three characters at that point, so there's not a lot you can do. And you don't want to see certain people get hurt. So yeah, that was my issue. And another issue I had was the end. It wasn't, and I won't say, but it wasn't as powerful as I think they were going for. Like if you compare this ending to the endings of An American Werewolf in London or The Howling, I mean, your heart goes out for these people, and it does for these characters too. I didn't think it had that same kind of impact that we've seen in the uh, classic to us, I assume, werewolf movies. But those are my real issues with it.
Okay. So because we are keeping on negatives, I see Derek's points. And I could also see that there could have been a whole other film and studio might have changed it up because we all know that's the reality of this business a lot of times. And I would love to see that edited version or different version as well with Anthony. I think in regards to negative for me, because I quite enjoy this film. But I could see the points that you both bring up in regards to, the oomph of the ending, that to you, what you said, Anthony, but then just overall kind of story changes to you, Derek, where they did it. But at the end of the day, at the end result for me, I enjoyed it. But the negative for me, this might surprise you because it's also a positive, in a way, is the mother's character, Julia Garner. I don't know if it was believable for me as a mother. I didn't see that relationship, although obviously we're seeing them at a broken relationship that gets strengthened much later on. And I think just the age that he looked very old to her very young look. But then also I think they needed that because I think as we got towards the end, and again, spoilers, I think the intention was to see a young woman finally grew up, take responsibility, because he was a good father taking holy charge while doing his other thing, even though he's a stay-at-home dad. She was work focused, which is fine, but also you have to be a mother to this child as well. And so I think it was good to have her be young because I think that messaging, that view needs to be seen by today's society and all that. So that was kind of like my negative that I could initially think of offhand was I think she's a great actress, but just it didn't completely work for me in that relationship. So any other negatives before we get on to some positives? Go ahead, Derek. Back to you.
Sorry, Derek. Go ahead.
Yeah, and to piggyback off what you were saying about Julia Garner, that's what really irritated me because again, I really think that Whannell was trying to go into maybe even toxic masculinity because when the movie starts out, it's clear that our lead character, as a child, he has no desire to be a traditional alpha male. He's a gamma, beta, whatever you want to call it. And then he grows up. He's a stay-at-home dad. He's the one doing the cooking. He's the one the daughter's more connected to. And yeah, now while girls, tend to sometimes drift towards, the dad role model, it was like clear that he was full on, not defeminized, but he wasn't an alpha male at all. I mean, dinner's fully cooked. The stuff with the daughter with let me read your mind, like it was all there. So again, I really think that's what Leigh was going for. It just didn't come together.
Got you, Anthony. You were going.
I'm also piggybacking on his piggyback. I'm always last. No, there should have been deeper conversations about where the break happened, like you guys were saying. It's obvious that she chose career over stay-at-home mom, took advantage of her writer husband, so she could do it. And I would have liked for her to have had some dialogue to say, And then there was a point where I realized I just wanted to be both, and something. And yeah, but yeah, you guys are both right. They dropped the ball on that one. There needed to be more. It's weird to say about a werewolf movie. There needed to be more interpersonal human drama, because what there is fine to me. I like the film, but I think the power of the last part would hit stronger knowing a lot more than just this is a sorry, I hit the table. This is a fractured relationship.
Yeah.
Why? Give us deeper into that,
I feel that. But so now as we transition to the positive, I have to also though say I'm happy that they didn't though in a way, because and again we're gonna come back around to you, Derek, because you have more of the negative opinion. I thought they gave us just enough. I think a lot of times we have to think the audience is educated as well. We don't have to spoon it to them all the time. So I thought, even with us saying that, and you're kind of saying it too now, Anthony, as well, that I thought, we picked it up from just the sidebar, from like you said, when they're coming out and the guy being there, already with her working, like we not all the time have to be felt. We can see it by just silence. Silence speaks volumes. I think we know with certain films that we've seen, but also just in moments in a film, because I don't know if it was you, Derek, or if it might've been Sam, but like, I think we're also talking that GA might not feel this because there isn't always, a boom, boom action happening. There needs to be lulls for you to sit in those pockets of moments to understand the tension overall. And I think that's what we'll read without having to spoon feed it to people in certain ways. So I just want to throw that. It might be a negative, but also I think as a positive to this film as we transition into the positive elements. So I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on that, but sometimes we watch films all the time, guys, right? And certain times just let it speak. And sometimes we can't write. I think you were bringing this up and it made me think, Derek, you had an idea of where you wanted to see the character. We kind of can't always just write it for ourselves. And I've had to turn that off for myself as a writer watching these films. Let me sit in their pocket. The writer may have something else he wants to take me on. Let me not write what I think should happen and just see what he wants to give it to me. So I'm not saying anything against Derek. With that's a problem that we have to turn off as creative sometimes. But maybe
I do that all the time.
Is,
Roger Ebert told me we don't review the movie we wanted to see. We review the movie we saw. And every time when I sit down to my review of something I didn't like or have problems with, well, it should have been. No, I got to delete that. I can't say that. Yeah, I do it all the time.
Well, I think with the lulls, it could have been, very self-contained with just, the route that they take. And then maybe I would have liked it more because it's building up and, you focus more on his transformation the entire first two acts. And then the last 30 minutes, it goes batshit crazy with them trying to escape him. That might have, even worked again. Because, I don't like comparing, but that's kind of how Wolf was. Wolf was, the bulk of the movie is Nicholson transforming. And then when we get to the third act is when he has to finally let the beast out to save Michelle Pfeiffer's character from James Spader. So, that might have kind of like worked better because, that's how The Invisible Man was. The Invisible Man, same director, same writer, focused on her being crazy and depressed. And top of the third act, when her sister dies in the restaurant with that knife, like, oh shit, like what just, it takes a turn, and that's when it really picks up. She finds her strength to combat the monster to get her life back. So again, that's just me nitpicking, but it's all lovely.
I feel that.
I feel that all the time.
Before we get into positives, go ahead, Anthony. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, a couple of years ago, I was giving more bad reviews than I ever had in 1 year, and I had somebody say, "Do you even like movies?" I'm like, yeah, that's why I'm so mad.
Yeah, I feel that. So before because we're about to transition to positives, but I know you have more kind of vibes, Derek. So I'm trying to figure out ways to pull it out of you. So one of the things I know that even as I love this film, and Anthony I know appreciates this film, and you, Derek, not so much, but what we all agreed upon, so which I would say is in this negative and area right now is that we don't think it's going to hit for the wide audience. I think we're saying the general audience isn't going to like feel this because of to a lot of points that you have, Derek. So you are kind of like the general audience, whereas I guess me and Anthony are more the film heads and are okay in this horror genre type maybe pocket. So can we speak why we would agree, why we're agreeing that the general audience isn't going to feel this? Derek.
So what I think happened, it's me thinking out loud, I do think that Whannell had his own idea, and whatever Gosling and Derek's how we say his last name escapes me, whatever they pitched, Universal really liked that, and they kind of said it's like lean into this, make it very elevated, do something that A24 would do, but add your own spin. And it just seems like he couldn't find the right footing. And when you look at stuff that A24 does, a lot of times general audiences don't really take to their films because they're not your traditional horror film. I mean, they'll say they're trash, they'll say they're boring, but they don't get what they were, trying to convey. So, I mean, I gave the Wolfman a C- because again, I get what he was trying to do. It just didn't hit for me. I may give it a review sometime this year, and my feelings might change because the potential was there. I mean, it's not a total wash, it's not a flop, it's not one of my worst of the year, but it just didn't have any howl, pardon the pun.
Respect. I just looked at the IMDb Pro. When you were saying Gosling, I'm like, are you talking about Ryan Gosling? Yeah, Ryan Gosling. Shout out to Ryan Gosling,
on this
not only being our Ken, but being a producer along this with Jason Blum on this. Go ahead, Anthony. In regards to like general audience, why we all agreed that that it's not going to hit maybe with everybody.
Yeah. I'll be a little more blunt with the today's audiences have no patience. I'm sorry. I love you all. Please keep watching. But they don't, and it's not their fault. Over the last decade and a half, they've been trained to not have patience. And it's get to the meat, explode the meat all over the screen, go home. This is it's a character-driven horror film. Even though, as we spoke of, it didn't dig as deep, it's an emotionally driven horror film. And it's deliberately paced, and I don't. I mean, look, I hope, and I'm sure we all hope we're wrong, and we hope it does well. But I don't think audiences are gonna. I think it's gonna be a lot of I think people are gonna go in to a film titled Wolf Man with the poster that's been out for a long time with the girl hiding her eyes behind you. They want carnage, Let's see how he devours all these victims. And without spoiling anything, just buyer beware, there's no all these victims. There's Wolfman activity. But yeah, I think on the patience level is not gonna carry this over to the top of the box office. I really don't. And again, I hope we're wrong. So
yeah, I gotta piggyback and agree wholeheartedly with you, Anthony. That's sad. That's sad for our film industry and theaters. That it won't do well because we want people to go enjoy films and have fun at the theaters so we can have that as something that we do as a society. And if we continue to have shitty films, people aren't going to come out. And we already saw what happened with the DVD market and all that, killed video stores. Streaming is now kind of really taking over things, and I love still going out to the Cineplex. So really want it to succeed. So, but yeah, I see all those points and agree with all those points to that. But let's end with a positive now. What did we like? I brought up practical effects. You mentioned Rick Baker there, Anthony. I'm really curious before we get into it, because I know you and I are going to gush over this film. My man Derek Dunn from Reviews and Dunn. What did you like, Derek?
Oh, the effects were cool. Like I said, the The spider scene was dope. The stuff where they switched up the vision to where you see his full transformation going on. It's like now he's colorblind. That was really cool. I mean, I'll even tip my hat to Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner. Like, their acting was fine. You really felt that relationship was on the rocks. So I mean, again, the potential was there for them to deliver an art house horror style homage to the Universal monster series. So it'll find an audience somewhat. I mean, more than likely it'll get number one this weekend. It's going to open big and then drop off like Blumhouse usually does. So I mean, there's stuff there for people that like those type of horror movies. Again, the effects were dope. It's just it's hard to say what I liked because there's not much outside of the effect. But the spider scene is still stuck in my cranium.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Derek. All right, Anthony, let's gush a little bit, man. I know you and I were talking camera work. Those transitions, watching him slowly, and Christopher Abbott. Derek mentioned it. Again, Julia Garner, Christopher Abbott. Again, while I thought Julia might have, been not there, I still think she was an outstanding actress. She did her job, but I just couldn't see them visually together, story-wise. But Abbott, I don't think I'm familiar with his work too much. I thought he was outstanding. He really played that off well, and I felt him being a good father, and then still trying to work being a father, even though I'm turning at this time, right? Just amazing. But I think the transition stuff, though, of watching a man slowly become, I think was really handled well. That camera work was outstanding. What say you, Anthony? And please give me your highlights.
Christopher Abbott, the first time I saw him was on the HBO show Girls with Lena Dunham's show, and he didn't really, I mean, his character, I think it was more his character, but I was never really thrilled with Christopher Abbott. And I've seen him in a few things. He's mostly in indie stuff, but I agree with you, he really impressed me here. As did Garner. I mean, it could be both. Derek could be right that there was a lot more for Garner to do in another cut. Maybe she should have been written a little stronger, but I think she's a fine actress. She always challenges herself, and I respect that. I say that a lot, but I respect it because so many actors don't these days. They find what makes them, that brings the butts to the seats, keeps their image going, and they do it. And she's not one of those actresses, and I appreciate that. And she was fine here. My favorite thing about the movie was we've never before heard or saw and heard how if you turn into a wolf, wolves don't understand the English language. And I was just having a blast, and you touched on it, Derek, about the color changes from his vision when they're having a conversation, Julia Garner and the daughter are talking to the father when he's pretty much in the throes of changing. And you'll hear them talking, and we'll move to him, and the colors change, like you mentioned, Derek, and then we're seeing it from his point of view, and it's gobbledygook coming out of their mouth. I thought that was fascinating. I thought that was fun. No one has ever done that before, and I appreciated that. The practical effects, anytime there's practical effects, if the movie is atrocious, I will always say, hey, at least they did practical effects and steered clear of too much CGI. There's CGI in this film, very small. They use it what it was invented for, to touch up things, to touch things up. That has gotten lost over the years. Now they're just like, how many ships do we need? I don't know, CGI it. CGI everything. It was not invented for that. He used it the right way. He let the practical effects shine. I love the hell out of that. I mean, you want to jump in? I can keep gushing. I'll piggyback a couple of your later gushes.
So I agree, all of those. So thank you for doing the heavy lifting about our love for this film, Anthony. I was telling y'all, man, and you mentioned two of these films earlier, Anthony. American Werewolf in London and The Howling are two of my favorite werewolf films of all time. And I also gotta say, also representation of werewolf in film, freaking Michael Jackson in Thriller will always be classic werewolf for me.
Yes.
And so this was up there. I know, Anthony, you feel there's a whole, and I agree with you that there probably was a different story and tension, but with what they settled on, I was riveted. Like, I was endeared, and I said this on the radio. I cared about this family, of despite the hardships that they were as a couple they were experiencing, but he really cared about his daughter. Wants to be a good dad. Wanted to make this marriage work. We were trying to have this by this trip, but even the generational trauma with the father that we got at the beginning, that locked me in. Once I saw like that there was this relationship that he had with his father, then we kind of go 20 years later into this story, and then to the finale. I thought the choices were just good, and if they're making this edit out of a whole other edit, shit, bravo, because I thought they did a damn good job. I agree that the general audience is probably going to want the blood and the action and all that, but we have a ton of other films out there like that. So for what I got, I put this in my top 5. I ain't gonna lie, of werewolf films of all time. I still got to look at Wolf. I know you had some recommendations, Derek. I think you said Wolfin, or maybe Sam said that, but I'm gonna look into some of the things, and I think we were also mentioning maybe we should do like a top 5 werewolf horror film list, and see where it all stands. But I don't know if this is the final product of something else that was intended. Shit, I'm with it, because the practical effects, just the story on how every movement transition to each scene, of the setups of fright, just everything was there that I think in other hands would have been written differently, and the same kind of shit we've seen in other horror films. I think they did some original and fresh shit within this.
I agree. It's very clever in its scare scenes, and the cinematography. The way they use I mentioned this in my review, the way they use every inch of that frame. I don't remember how I said it because I've slept since then, but I write about the cinematography and how they're using the frame, and he's in the shadows. And at the end of the paragraph, I think I said something like, look everywhere because the monster's not where you think he's going to be. And they're constantly surprising us without jump scaring us. I mean, there's a couple startling moments, but yeah, I just thought it was very clever in the way they set up the, not attack scenes, but the werewolf scenes.
All right, so before we go, I think I mentioned this earlier when I was kind of giving the story breakdown. Maybe this is a negative because I didn't see it when they're in this accident. Again, spoilers. There wasn't a bite. It was more like a scratch. What did I miss something, guys? Like how the transition occurred, or how it finally, or is it in the DNA? It didn't land at least that point of how he now is all of a sudden becoming the Wolfman.
Well, speaking to that, though,
no, Derek, I saw you. Yeah, go ahead, Derek. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. Speaking of that, though, we never really got any explanation. At least I missed that. What the hell was going on? Like, how are they becoming wolves? It was like we had the thing at the beginning, the subtext, and then it just went to the dad is hunting wolves. But like, when did the dad get turned? Like, how are they becoming wolves? Again, there was a lot of stuff they could have, fleshed out, and I do think the stuff that you guys liked, if that stuff had been more fleshed out for me, then I might have had more of a appreciation for it. So, when it comes out the home market, I will buy it just to see if Leigh does a commentary so he can fully flesh out what he was trying to justify, and then I might have a more of appreciation for it. If I actually, this is what I was going for. I was like, yeah, now I see. And then I thought I was wrong.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, as said this already, but man, if there's more, bring it on. Put it together. Give me the extended director's cut, whatever you want to call it. Bring it on. I'm ready. Yeah.
So was it the scratch or bite? What did I miss that? Anthony, did you catch that?
Scratch.
Was it just simply the scratch?
Mhm. Yeah, scratch.
I don't know, and well, I guess that'll be another negative then for me. I want to bite. I want to know. I just don't need a
That,
scratch. Come on.
yeah. Well, to what Derek was saying, that's true. I would have also liked to know a little more about, because here, and I don't want to give much away, but it's not like you said. It's not the standard bite. It's not the when the moon is full, you will change. That's not it. It is an infection. It's treated as an infection in this movie. And the director, Whannell, said that when he was piecing this together, he was doing it in the style of David Cronenberg's The Fly. He said because in that movie, in an interview, he said in Cronenberg's The Fly, it is a woman who loves a man and watches him deteriorate and loses humanity completely.
Mm.
And that's the jumping off point that Whannell said when he sat down to write the script. He wanted to get that in this movie, and I thought he did it. But like we've all discussed, there might be some missing, and maybe he did it a little stronger than we thought. I don't know.
All right. So if there's another cut out there, Universal, we want to see it. We definitely want to see it. But I guess to close this out, overall thoughts, last thoughts. For me, I'll start it off again. I enjoy this film. In my top 5 of werewolf horror films of all time. It's there. I appreciate what we got. And if there's something on the cutting room floor, I definitely want to check it out. Derek, I know it's a pass, but what are your final thoughts before we get up out of here, man?
As always, see it for yourself, but for reviews and done, it didn't have any how.
And you, Anthony?
I want to steal that, but I can't. I won't do it. I'll say it privately to people. I think it's one of the best werewolf movies in decades. So which means, because unfortunately, even though I love that part of the horror genre, there's not a ton of great werewolf movies out there.
That's true.
So it's probably in the lower half of my top 10. Maybe 6, 7, 8 somewhere. I don't know. I'm hoping we get a chance to talk that.
Yeah, let's get, so if y'all want it, put it in the comments. We want to see a werewolf list. Because I need to rewatch the original Wolfman. I need to see this wolf. Somebody said Wolfin as well.
Wolfin.
I want to really look at American Werewolf in London again. You know, see where it all kind of works out. The Howling again.
The Howling. I mean, as far as masterpieces of the werewolf genre, for me, the Wolfman is my absolute favorite of all of the Universal horror movies, monster movies. I just love it to death. I mean, we'll get into that another show, and then that American Werewolf in London and The Howling are my trifecta of my favorites. Yeah, but they're just so good, and this has aspects of all three of them, and yeah, I love it. I think it's great. I'm pretty sure, unless this is an even stronger year for horror than last year, pretty sure this will make, because I always do a best horror at the end of every year. This will make that list for sure.
Oh, I can't wait.
Flaws and all. It's not perfect.
All right.
But I hope we're all wrong. Again, I want to say that again. And what Derek said, and we always say this, make up your own mind, but please go. Support movies anyway, but support horror, please. And I hope we're all wrong. I hope audiences will take to this, but I don't think it's going to be the blockbuster that The Invisible Man was. That was a big hit, and that was during COVID, or right before COVID, and it still made a lot of money, and critics loved it. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for this conversation on Wolfman. I agree with both Derek and Anthony. While you might be hearing it from us and our thoughts, go form your own. Go support the theaters. Go enjoy this at the Cineplex with your friends and family. That's what going to the movies is for. Just kind of getting creeped out, and also, all of that, just all the emotions you'll go through when you watch a film in the theater. Derek, thank you for your time. Anthony, as always, as well. But before we get off, I'd like to give you guys love. They're on the NRW watching me right now and you guys, but I want them to go support you on your sites. Derek, tell me all about Reviews and Done. Give everybody the sites and how can they check you out online.
So reviewsanddone.net and reviewsanddone.info and on all social media platforms.
There you go. Support my man, Derek Dunn. And Anthony, talk to me about screen comment, film threat, movie review, all the good things you be doing, man.
Yeah. Screencomment.com. My reviews are at screencomment.com, themoviereview.com, on Instagram, the movie review, and on what's it called? X. I can't remember that. On X, I'm Anthony Screen, the letter capital C1.
There you go. Mad love to my brothers, Anthony Francis and Derek Dunn. Go send them love. Go follow them. Subscribe, do all the things. Their links are in the description below. I'm Kuya P. These nerds rule the world. Go check out Wolfman, y'all. And let's talk all about it in the comments. Let's continue the conversation right there. Go do it right now. Peace. All right, yo, there's a cut. What's up, y'all? Your boy QP, Nerds Rule the World, just got out of a press screening for Wolfman from Blumhouse. Initial thoughts coming out of Wolfman. Probably one of the best werewolf movies I have seen of all time. I'm serious. Like, it's like on the American Werewolf in London scale, The Howling, the original Wolfman. I'm trying to think of all the werewolf films. I just loved it. Really enjoyed this film. The transitions of when you're human, when you're a werewolf, or you're becoming a werewolf. I was endeared to the characters. I cared about everyone in there. Just a really well done film. We'll be talking all about it. Definitely a recommendation on the radio, on the NRW. But Wolfman, Blumhouse, killed it. Excellent. Highly recommend. Stay tuned. Your boy QP, Nerds Rule the World.